I'm here with Eric J. Rangel, who is running for District 3, Austin City Council, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Tell us a little bit about your interest in running, and particularly what you think you can provide in terms of leadership on the environment.
Sure. I ran because I think a lot of people throughout District 3 and actually throughout the city feel disenfranchised. They feel disconnected, and I feel like I can bring a voice to those people who have felt that for far too long. When it comes to my leadership to the environment, I think you look at my issues, my stances, and how they pertain to the environment. It's why I should be the choice for people of District 3.
And you did respond to all of the candidate questionnaires from the environmental group. So,
yes.
So the voters can go to austineconetwork.com and see all of your answers there.
Yeah, it was very daunting, but these things are important. And I think it's good for people to get that information, and whether you agree or disagree with me, you at least know where I stand on the issues.
Right. So when you think about the next 5 years in Austin, what is your greatest hope and what is your greatest fear?
My greatest hope is that we actually get things done. My greatest fear is that nothing gets done, and I think that's why this is very important, especially with the new council, that we find collaboration, we compromise, and we find common ground amongst the districts. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, is to be able to understand how to work with each other, the ability to do that. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge. And if we can do that, we can get a lot accomplished.
Can you do that? How would you provide leadership in that way?
Yeah, well, you look at the different roles that I've already been in, a lot of different clubs, organizations, and not just being part of these clubs and organizations, but as far as leadership roles that I've been in these clubs and organizations, and to see that the relationships will continue to be flourishing and strengthening as I'm on council, and to continue to build those coalitions that I've already done before. So that's how I plan to do it. And I think, you look at Austin, I mean, we all want to tackle affordability. We all want to protect the environment. We all want a better way of transportation to and from work and school and wherever. So we all want the same thing.
Right.
We're just going to go about it a little differently.
So talk about your transportation priorities, your views on everything from Prop 1 to building highways to transportation solutions.
Yeah, Prop 1 is, I think, the one issue that really separates myself from a lot of the other candidates, because I am for Prop 1. I believe it's the future of Austin. I believe that the longer we wait, the more difficult it becomes to build, the more difficult and the more expensive it becomes. So I think that's the future of us. And I think the misconception is that once we pass Prop 1, that all of a sudden we're going to start building, the rail. That takes years. So in between that process, we can do a lot to do. We can
Like what? What should we
improve our infrastructure when it pertains to sidewalks, cyclists, bus lanes. We can improve our bus system, expand routes, expand run times. We can look at alternative work hours. We can look at telecommuting. And we can also look at things like competition, ride share, electric cabs. All these things we can do in the meantime while the rail is getting built. And so therefore, by the time rail is built, we've already built the infrastructure that we need.
Right, and you've also expressed opinions about like co-locating work and home closer together, right?
Yes. I kind of adhere to the idea of Imagine Austin, where we make the city, compact and connective. And I think that's going to be key to putting stops, whether they're bus, whether they're rail, whatever the case may be, proximity to where you live and work, so that people can go to and from point A to B more effectively. Okay,
so we're implementing Imagine Austin, and we're going forward with compact and connected. How do we make sure we also protect the green infrastructure?
Well, we limit our suburban sprawl. We realize that we don't need to expand the city limits. What we need to do is reinvest in neighborhoods, and we need to invest in communities that have felt decay and disenfranchisement for far too long. We put money back into these neighborhoods so that we rebuild these up, and then so therefore we build in the urban core. We work with developers when it comes to the urban core. When it comes to major corridors, we work with neighborhoods so that they don't feel pushed out, so they feel like their character is not being demolished. And we work with all these people so that we can create that, and therefore we don't expand the city that protects our environment around us. And when we're doing the connectivity, we're reducing our dependency on vehicles. So therefore, that brings air quality that a lot of people are concerned about.
Okay, you say the most important issue facing your district is water. Say more about that, and how would you provide leadership there?
We talked about earlier what do we have in common with other districts? I think water is probably one of the most environmental concerns that most people have. And I think for a lot of us, even though we had a huge rain, if we flooded, the lake's going to take years to fill up to the capacity that we're at. So we have to understand that the drought is sort of the new normal.
Right.
And I think that's a scary thing to think about, but if we really want to attack our problems with water, we need to realize that and say, hey.
So what do we ask people to do, or what do we as a city do?
Well, we look at an approach when it comes to, the 4R approach, which is restore, reduce, recycle, and reuse. We look at all these things. If we have water, I know there's the reuse where, water that gets flushed, we use it to water golf courses. When you have gray water, when rain comes to your house, you restore that, reuse that for the gardens.
Right.
So these are things that we can do, and we can help.
Pipe and gray water.
Exactly. So we can help out people, subsidize and incentivize, communities and neighborhoods to do this sort of thing, and that gets the process going. So over time, people become acclimated to that, and they use it over time. So therefore, we're conserving our water.
Right. Being an elected official means being a leader means developing and forwarding priorities. If you could only do one thing in your term of office and you knew you couldn't fail, what would that one thing be?
Transportation. I think that would be the one thing.
What would you do? If you could wave a magic wand and everyone would do what you said, what would that be?
Oh man, that's a lot of power.
Yeah.
It would be put down a rail system that's going to be the backbone of Austin. Because I know a lot of people's concern about the rail is that it's going to raise taxes. It's not a route that we all really like. I think the truth is that there's no perfect solution. I think we've been waiting for like 20 years for the perfect rail, and we realize that's never going to happen.
Right.
So for me, I think we have to look at it as realistically and say, hey, we have to move forward with this. And I think, I think a lot of people are concerned about the raising taxes. You're right, but there's a lot we can do to decrease your taxes overall. So if overall we're decreasing your taxes dramatically and slightly increasing your taxes on rail, then at the end of the day, you're paying less in taxes and you have rail. But that would be the one thing, transportation, because I feel it's the key. We have so many people moving here day to day.
Yeah.
We all know the statistic, and I think that's the one thing we need to tackle and accomplish.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. You
Thank you
clearly
very much.
thought a lot about this, and people can read more about his answers on AustinicoNetwork.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.